Acknowledge me.
Leveled by Marvin Constant, the redshirt freshman out of Tuscaloosa. Oh, they go by now. Let him know he don't want to stop. 65 yards as the ball was thrown away from the line of scrimmage. Gerald Dixon.
Hey, you forgot to see my brother.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Tuesday night. You know what time it is. The Bama Standard is on the air. You know what to do. We got to do a few things before we get this place jumping. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Live chat. Show up and show out tonight. We got a lot to talk about. We need your feedback and your love. We also need love in the comment section below. If you folks are watching the replay, get down there. Talk to us. We need to hear from you. Before we get to officially rolling, we got to talk about the people who help us pay the bills. If your business needs a digital presence, full-fledged marketing team, SEO, copyright, or any other business need, these are the folks who need to be coaching up your business. Visit them at workspacepros.com today, preferably after the show. I'm your host, Justin Riley. With me, as always, is the cornerstone, the living legend, the undefeated, undisputed king of comedy. He's everybody's cousin, but more importantly, he's the star of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Brown.
What up, Justin? I'm glad to be here, man. I'm excited, and ready to go, man. By the way, on our opening clip, I noticed Smoke ran out of gas when he made that pick six. Nobody noticed that from me, but he ran out of gas at like the 5-yard line. So, yeah.
Hamstring got tight.
Not even.
That lower back, that sciatic nerve, start talking to him.
And this is the same guy who is trying to convince a teammate of his who just got a pick to pitch it back to him so he could score.
Yeah, but he ran out of gas.
Listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't want to interrupt the intro, but Jason Witten chasing me from behind. When you can run, you just get out. And when you get out, you ask people to come get you. And when they don't, you throttle down. And when you can throttle down because you can run Trent, you understand that. The rest of these guys don't. You throttle down, and then you say, come on, because you can now punch it back in 5 if you want to. But man, you guys wouldn't understand that.
Throttled down on many occasions. Man, what are you talking about? Man, don't do that. You
well,
all state fullback and tailback. I split time between both, so I didn't throttle down on many 60-70-yard touchdown runs as those DBs were.
But can Justin introduce the rest of us, please? Thank you.
Well, you don't matter. You got on an old Burger King employee T-shirt anyway. Yeah.
All right. So a man who needs no introduction because he just gave it himself, but he's a 1999 All-SEC linebacker. And when Ric Flair said to be the man, woo, you got to beat the man. Ladies and gentlemen, he is that man. He told us to say that. Marvin Constant.
Oh, God.
Roll Tide.
Said 99. Damn.
Hey, don't do that. Don't do that.
Hey, hold. Just keep going. Let him rock.
Keep going,
getting
Justin.
up there with us too. Keep going.
Exactly.
Before Marvin say something, keep going.
Yeah.
Trent said when Marvin played, they only had 3 channels. if the president was on,
the important one, and also important one that we were on. Keep going.
Exactly. You remember late at night when the channel signed off?
You done? Don't worry about that move. Keep going.
All right, back on track. We got another All-SEC player in the house, former Alabama DB with the Bills Mafia, scout for the Bills Mafia, one of the top analysts in the game, one of the top evaluators of talent in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Coach G.V. Smoke Dixon.
Man, happy to be here again. What's happening, man? The only one that really appreciates me on here is you, Stephen M. The rest of these guys, I don't know, bro.
What you trying to say?
Well, we love you, brother.
Nah, Stephen M. We'll keep on going. Go ahead, Steve. Give all grace and all credit to my guy, Stephen M. Justin, bring my man in right.
I'll bring him in right. Ladies and gentlemen, not to be outdone, last but not least,
yes, sir.
The true star of power that fuels the tank that is the Bama Standard. He outran Marvin Constant in a foot race before we jumped on air. He is a senior analyst at Touchdown Alabama Magazine and the Bama Standard. He also keeps Paul Feinbaum gainfully employed. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Stephen M. Smith.
Hey, thank y'all. Thank y'all. Happy to be here. Hey, look, I say this. Marvin gave me a go at that. That knee gave out, though. But he gave me a go at it.
Oh, you going to join the bandwagon of foolishness? Stephen, I see what you're doing, okay?
I had to get you at some point, Marvin. I had to get your Uncle Marv at some point.
I ain't gonna lie to that,
Back.
Joe.
Stephen fights back. Wow.
Hey, I love it. I love it. Stephen M., we got another person on this panel, a true legend, and there's only one person who can bring him on the right way. You're that dude. Let the folks know who we have in the building.
Well, we got one of the original culture starters of the Nick Saban era, one of the OGs in starting the culture. At the running back position, Saban brought him in. Burton Burns got him coached up right from Pensacola, Florida. He came in as a 5-star. This dude was behind Mark Ingram, but to me personally, a bit better than Mark Ingram was, just my opinion. This guy was a 2-time national champion, 2009 and 2011. Won the SEC in 2009. Oh, and by the way, won that Doak Walker Award in 2011. Oh, and by the way, was a first-round pick in the 2012 draft. Oh, and by the way, he coaching now. Oh, and by the way, he's only one of the best ambassadors to come to the program. Oh, and by the way, he has better dreads than Lil Wayne. We got Trent Richardson in here.
What up? What up, Trent?
That's not saying a lot if I got better dreads than Lil Wayne. That ain't saying a lot right now.
Well, Young Wayne did. Not this Wayne, Young Wayne.
Young one. Okay.
Give me Young Wayne.
But
Give
be
me Wayne
honest.
before Tunchi. Yeah, give me Lil Wayne. Give me Wayne before Tunchi.
Give you Wayne before the skateboard.
That Wayne. Before Big Trump. Give me that Wayne.
That
Okay,
part.
that is.
But be honest, did you get that kind of announcement on the Pivot podcast? I love them dudes, but did they bring you on like that?
Nah, man, listen. Anything I do from now on, man, I know who I'm calling. I'm calling Steve and let Steve handle that for me. I'm gonna let him handle that for me from now on.
I appreciate it. We'll do that.
Justin, did you watch that Pivot podcast, man? It was so moving, man. It was Trent, we saw you in a whole nother light, man, and it was amazing, bro.
Yeah, man. And, you know, I actually had fun doing that, man. And I've been contemplating on when I was going to be able to do that, and you know, just to talk and be able to let folks know, like, yeah, and it's everything still haven't came to light just yet, but we put something in there. We're supposed to be doing something else pretty soon too. But man, I love doing it, man, and it was able to, you know, get in front of Ryan and talk to Ryan to it. But most of all, man, one of my biggest idols was there, man. Fred Taylor, man. That was my guy growing up, man. If you didn't know who Fred was, you didn't know what Fred was doing. Like, Fred lived a life, bro, and lifestyle to where it was nothing but greatness. And so I model a lot of my game. And for him to be a bigger back and for him to be a taller back and, you know, being from Florida, like, I model a lot of my game around him.
I'm just glad you didn't go to the same school that he ended up going to. We ain't even talking about
Man,
that.
it was tough to get up out of there, man. It was tough to get out of Florida, being from Pensacola. And you got Emmitt Smith and all that stuff going on. Then at Florida State, you had Derrick Brooks. And, man, it was crazy growing up because my mom, my uncles was raised with Emmitt. My grandma drove the city bus with Emmitt dad over 30-something years. Yeah, so it was tough getting away from them, you know, there, man. But Emmitt told me some of the realest stuff ever. He was like, and as we kind of broke down the schools, man, he was like, I'm going to be real with y'all. I want to be a Gator inside out. Once a Gator, always a Gator, but the way they run the ball, it don't fit you. Like, it wouldn't fit me. If they was running the ball like this, how they in the shotgun area play, I wouldn't have went there either. Said, but it's best for you to go to Alabama, man. I can tell. You know, you like the guys down there, and they running that, you know, pro-style offense. That's the offense you need to be in. So it was Emmitt who put me over the top to go to Bama.
Hey man, tell Emmett when you talk to him again, thank you. Thank you for that for that juke move singing around the world that we just keep playing that the PlayStation has stolen from you. Yes. Yes. Tell Emmett, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Serena, I was so excited. I don't know if as much as these guys, maybe even more, but I got to see a little bit of you kind of revealing yourself layer by layer when you did that podcast with Bo about a year ago, and you begin to kind of open up and tell your story. And then you get to go on this platform, a platform that's much larger, and you had an opportunity to really minister to so many people that normally you probably wouldn't have reached. What kind of feedback have you received from that so far?
Man, it's been great, man, because a lot of people want to hear that stuff, man. And like I tell people all the time, like, you got to hear these stories, you know, the good, bad, and ugly, you know, because a lot of people just see, like, especially when now with like social media is raising our kids and raising our, you know, our youth out here, man. So they only see the, you know, the trips and the trophies and the medals and stuff like that, man. They don't see what goes into it or behind the scenes. Like, you got to tell these kids what's real because they got to be prepared. We're not preparing these kids, man. Like, I wasn't prepared for life after Bama for me. Like, life after Nick Saban for me. And I'm not talking about on the field. I'm talking about my surroundings. Like, my situation had changed. It was more freedom. It was more freedom for people to put their hands on me. It was more freedom for people to get close to me. So the 3 or 4 people that I had telling me, hey, slow down, you ain't got to do this for everybody else, I can't hear that. When I got 100 people in this other ear telling me that, hey, we need this and this, somebody died, this is that. And then now they gonna start going to mama for stuff and mama coming to me. And like, it was different, man. It was a learning experience because I got kids growing up, man, and I'm talking about, man, that's the protection that I need to learn how to teach them. And like I tell my kids all the time, especially TJ, because he got my name, and now it's his name, right? Because now I'm TJ dad, and you know, it's not Trent Richardson son no more, right?
Right.
And so I tell them that, man, I done enough messing up for all of us. I done enough, you know, bad for all of us. So the only thing I need for you is get them grades, and whatever you want to do outside of football, outside of school, you got to go give 1,000%, not 100, 1,000%. You got to be dedicated to it.
Man, you know what, Justin? The first time that I formally met you, Trent, I don't know if you remember. We brought you up for a workout in Buffalo, and that's when we kind of connected there. And that's when I forget where was the last place you were at before that, but called. I spoke to your agent that time. It was Jimmy Sexton. Spoke to Jimmy, got him up, and I remember after the workout, you had like a look on your face, like you were so disappointed. And I walked over to you and hugged you, and I said, "Hey, listen, bro. There's nothing that you need to be disappointed with your career. I was going, bruh, 1%. That's who you are. So hang, like I was like, dude, pick your head up. Regardless if we sign you or not, you're a success story. But I saw you had so much like going on at that time. You heard me, but it was really like, dude, I don't know you that well. And being an older guy, it was a trust thing. But I remember we connected for a little while, but I apologize that in the last few years, we haven't stayed in contact as much as possible as we're supposed to. But, man, when I saw that interview that you did with the Pivot, it wasn't really a more interview, just a sit down and you being able to share your stories. Like I said, off air, you have so much more to tell the world. So a lot more people don't go through what you went through. And if they even are going through it, at least they have somebody that's gone through it and they're now on this side of it and tell you that even if you're going through it, you can get on the better side of that.
Hey, Smoke, I want to piggyback off this too, of what you just said. From what I've seen in that interview, from me being a fan of your playing days, I was the hugest Trent Richardson fan, period, as far as your talent, your God-given talent. But nothing you have done on that field, nothing measures up to how impactful your story is now. It will change a lot of lives. It really will, bro. So I'm excited to really hear more about it, man. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but brother, you left us wanting more, and I'm really proud of you, man. I'm a bigger fan of you now than I was when I was younger. You're not in shape, so I hit the shit out you. I really hit you. I hit you now, but as far as I hit the hell out you. Yeah,
Well,
now I will.
You
man.
know the
I'll
thing
try.
about it,
I just wanted to say that, bro. That's impactful.
Trent has done a lot of great things that a lot of people don't even realize, and he know what I'm talking about already. I told him years ago something that I seen him do that touched me more than anything he ever did on the field, whatever touched me in life. That is an upstanding citizen, man. It was after the tornado in April 11th. What was that? 2010,
2011.
2011.
2011. You know, I grew up on 13th Street, so you know, pretty much everybody in my family lost everything. You know, and I'm just going down there to help. And who do I see handing out water where the Piggly Wiggly used to be? Mr. Richardson himself. I didn't stop. I didn't say a word to him that day because I was in a hurry going to help my folks. But when I did finally see him, I told him that was the most powerful thing I ever seen him do, on the field or off the field.
I've handed out water before.
No, we ain't talking about you. Your water was spiked.
For me, Trent, what got me was you finding the right people to trust to provide your story to.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of athletes, it's I don't want to trust this person because they may spin me in a bad light. Sometimes the media, and I'm not putting myself in this, but sometimes the media paints the wrong picture of an athlete, or it paints the wrong story of that athlete, and it causes them to not want to talk. Case in point, Eddie Lacy. You know, they painted Eddie in such a bad light that Eddie won't do an interview anymore at all. So just going to you, Trent, what made Chan and RC and Freddie, what made that the moment where I trust these guys? I want to tell my story through these guys.
Well, for me, man, like I said, it was Fred for real. Like, and even with Ryan, like Ryan said what he said on that TV, but I knew it was more for because he didn't know. Like, he was young. It was more of he trying to get up. Get up in this game. He was young, and it was for ratings too, right? Because Ryan is the same guy that stepped out my way to score the game-winning touchdown. It's crazy because actually when we talk about this, I was looking at the game ball today. But it was one of them things where Ryan came up to me after the game and shook my hand and said, man, listen, you're going to be something special. Keep working. Because that was the first time Cleveland had beat them in like 7 or 9 years.
Right.
I had guys on that team that was there for a long time crying after that game and, and appreciate me. James Harris came up to me after the game. Like, when you get respect from Debo in the league, like that's real Debo in the league. Everybody was scared of James Harris.
Period.
But when you get that type of stuff, man, like, okay, all right, I am doing something good. And so, and then even that week, like, I played with broke ribs that whole rookie year. Like, people don't realize that. And I had 2 knee surgeries before the year. But when I got traded, bro, like, football was not the same for me. It was almost like put it like this. They say you got to marry yourself to the game. I was so married and loyal to the game to when I got traded, it felt like my wife cheated on me. And now I'm just doing enough to be there. Like I'm still going to work, getting there. Like, bro, it was so much going on. I was trying to make sure I wasn't late, man. I would go sleep in the parking lot. I would get there at 5 a.m, sleep in the parking lot until they opened up the door. Like when I got traded, like to learn, like I had 3 different offense coordinators in 18 months.
Wow.
Less than 18 months. Like I got traded. Well, we had Sherman drafted me. They got rid of Sherman. They brung in the cats from old Chili from he was there when they had Carolina, when they had the 2 rushers and they had the 2 guys, Jonathan Stewart.
When they had Jonathan Stewart and that boy from Memphis.
Yeah. They had them guys. Yeah, they actually had 3. They had Tolbert there too.
Correct.
And they had Williams there. And so, like, I was all in on it. Yeah, D'Angelo. I was all in on it. I didn't have a problem with it. But then I get traded, and they go get the offense coordinator that Andrew Luck had in college. And so all Pep knew was Andrew. Like, it was crazy. I was in a crazy situation, man. And that's why I need to reach out or be able to talk to guys like Bryce. Bryce going through the same exact thing. Like, Bryce ain't no damn bust. Like, what are we talking about? Get that kid some help. Get that kid. Matter of fact, get that kid up there and get him to a situation that's going to fit him. Like that situation do not fit. He don't have any help. Not talking about a program, but they know what they got right now, man. And
it's like
Trent, get Bryce to LA. Get him with the Rams.
So what you're saying is they are like letting this guy fail and they can put him in a better situation. And then when he's failing, not because it's his fault, then the media jumps in and makes it seem like he's a bust, but in actuality, he's in a bad situation with no help to get him better, pretty much.
And what's crazy is you get guys like Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers is one of the GOATs of the game, but who Aaron Rodgers had to sit behind and learn. He had to learn behind one of the best quarterbacks that ever did it, right? He had to sit behind Brett Favre. Like, it takes time to develop, man. And when you come in like a guy like Bryce or Tua that's going top,
top 10, because we're seeing it happen. We're seeing it happening right now with Anthony Richardson. When you're taking that high, there's a lot that's expected. But with all that expected, I don't think that working in an NFL building as well and being a former player myself, every organization does not set you up for success. And that's why you see most of the time the same organizations, the Pittsburghs, the Baltimores, New England, those are the organizations that truly win year in and year out just because they have a recipe for success. They're not just throwing guys out there and saying, hey, figure this out because you're professional. Sometimes that does not work because you still have young people that still need time to grow and develop into becoming a professional.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Trent, I got one little lighthearted question, I guess, because I was actually reminded of it when I was watching the Pivot podcast. And what a lot of people don't really know is that you mentioned you have an extended family, and I think you even play ball against them or with them. And I'm going to name a couple of names. The people in the audience might not know them by their real names, but Jonathan Fatu, Josh Fatu, Joe Anoi. Folks who don't know those names, you probably do if you turn on WWE either Monday or Friday night, and that's the Bloodline, Roman Reigns and the Usos. Man, what was it like? Tell me about your extended family that maybe not enough people know about, and how competitive was it between y'all?
Man, look, listen, if you know the Fatus or the Anois, you grew up with them, man, you got to be a little off. Because them guys, that was crazy as hell. When I mean crazy, I mean, listen, they had a wrestling ring in their front yard, fellas. Like a real live wrestling ring. And so, like, people just drive past just to see, like, because Rikishi forever, he had a wrestling school, and he still do. So they used to have guys coming out, like, and wrestling in front of their yard. And so people, like, would come by and they'll be getting a whole show. Like, these guys learning the ropes and learning how, to wrestle, be a real wrestler. But, man, them cats used to be, man, they throw you in your pool, strip you down, especially with the youngest. Man, listen, bro, you was in trouble. You was in trouble, man. Like, but those guys, like, some of the best and loyal guys I've ever met, though. Like, some of the most. And I ain't never met a slow one. I ain't never met a small one. They was either really athletic and big and fast, or they was mean as hell, and they loved you so much they weren't gonna let anything happen to you.
So tell me about the time you locked up.
The extended family come from my kids. So I grew up with them, and it's so crazy to see Solo now. His real name is Joseph. Their little brother. It's crazy to see him leading a bloodline, and he was the youngest in the house. So looking at all this stuff, man, and see my kids, my kids interact with them too, and knowing that, my kids grew up, with both sides, it's even harder for them, man, like, especially my son, and like my daughter get a lot too, man, because, she was the first one. And so, like, she's trying hard to get from underneath the celebrity name, but it's like, baby girl, I wish I had that in my life, growing up. But you got it on both sides, so it's a little bit more pressure on them than it was me. But, man, you know what pressure brings, man. Pressure make diamonds, man. So I'm proud of my kids, man, what they have done, man. But that extended family, man, my kids are Fatus, they're Anawayas. But like I'm telling you, when I mean them guys go for rounds and it'd be 1,000 of them coming out and go eat a bucket of chicken and some rice afterwards,
Wow.
like nothing would never happen, like crazy, right?
Did you step in
Hell,
that ring with Roman?
They were just down here last week. They were just here last week because Talia just was last week or the week before. Talia just turned 18, and so they do a whole ceremony and stuff with their culture or whatever, man. And so it was a beautiful thing, man. But yeah, man, you said stepping in the ring with who?
Roman.
Listen, he ain't stepping on this field no more. I ain't getting in his territory. Listen, I'm one of those guys. I ain't gonna let you beat me at your game, man. You got to come get in my box. So I tell guys all the time. I was talking to Kyrie. He was talking here. I said, Kyrie, I'll run your ass over, Kyrie Irving. You better go on to I ain't gonna listen, but I ain't gonna sit there and tell him that I can hold you. I can dunk on you, Kyrie. That's what you do for a living. You get paid for that. You better not let me get out there and lock you down.
You do. We need to see it.
Yeah, I know, right?
So Trent, what are you doing now? I think the world would love to hear that part of post-career NFL, going through the dark side. Now you're on the light side. Like, I think because your story is a true inspiration of just living through and just being a positive image to the world.
It is.
And you know what, man? That's crazy you said that. But to answer your first question before we get to that, well, it wasn't even a question, it's what you said. I was more down not to just be in that situation. The situation was, man, after talking to the coach, he was just like, man, we're looking for a special team guy. We ain't looking for a star running back because y'all just had paid Shady McCoy.
Yeah.
Like, man, we just paid him, man, and you need your talent. You got to be star. You got to be a star running back, and we looking for a special team guy. That's not, that's not what we looking for. We just paid our running back. It'd be a lot of controversy. You come here, and he just kept it real with me, man.
Right.
And and I appreciated that. And that was more of the thing for me. It was like, man, I'm a star running back in this league. Like, it ain't no way that I'm supposed to be a special team guy, but I was willing to do anything and everything to get back, to prove what that's how I started off anyway. I started off with special teams. So I was going to prove what I needed to prove to get back on that field no matter what.
Right.
But, your second question was, go back to your second question.
Now getting through.
What am I doing now? Oh, man,
yes.
What I'm not doing now, man. Yeah, man. You know what? I do a lot of stuff in the community, man. Like we just came from Atlanta, played Devin Hester 12U team. 11U team, man. We went and smacked those boys. My oldest son them played, but man, I do a lot of traveling with these kids. Help build programs. We got a TR3 program we built for these kids. They study hall. We provide them with meals. We're able to get those kids in the situation, man, because it's a lot of kids that got, and it kills me inside to even talk about this, man. I got a kid right now. Situation is tough. I'm talking about mom, in a bad situation, man. But when I sit there and think about it, bro, like, it's one of them things that somebody did it for me. And if they didn't do it for me, I wouldn't be here to tell my testimony, bro, like to give my story. But man, we feed those kids, we get those kids Thanksgivings, Christmases, we're doing everything we can to help those kids that don't have it. And then those kids that do have, man, like they need to be around people like me. Like I'm coaching at Hoover High School now. And those kids got it. Like,
right.
And you can tell where the kids are hungry and the kids who want to eat. You can tell the difference. And so with those kids, man, too, man, we got kids at Hoover right now, bro, who haven't bought shoes and they're junior since their sixth grade year. And so, and me finding that out, especially when I first got there, and I'm asking the coaches, like, have y'all noticed that this kid didn't have shoes? They was like, you know what, I only see him in Crocs. I'm like, well, that's the difference, bro. Like, get to know these kids.
Right.
Talk to these kids. Learn these kids. Them kids will play their heart out for you, man. Most of the time I get on these kids, man, I promise you, man, 90% of the time, them kids say, Coach, I know, I'm sorry, Coach. And they apologize before I can even get on to them. You get what I'm saying? And so for me, the letdown it kills them more than anything.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was the whole situation for me. Like, even when it came to Ryan, right? When Ryan said that, it was like, damn, I let you down. I let you down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt that. And that was it for me. And that's what I wanted to explain to the world. Like, the letdown of it is more of a damn. It's a slap in the face.
Right.
Yeah,
So, Trent.
That's what I don't want them kids to have, man.
So, Trent, let me ask you this real quick. If you can just sum it up in a few words. I've seen you after football, and you've always showed love. You always kept a smile on your face. You always had a great attitude. And how did you manage to stay up like you did, going through so much and just going through all these trials and fire? What kept you going, man, to keep the humbleness and the meekness and just the great attitude? What kept you up in a few minutes?
My kids, it was nothing but them, man. Like, I appreciate my kids so much, man. I had my daughter when I was 15, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been at Bama, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today. I don't know. I don't know. We talked about it on the show last year. Like, this time last year, I almost died.
Yeah.
And I almost died because I had ulcers in my stomach that burst, and I get migraines now. And so when I get these migraines, like, I got to take a BP pod or something like that to keep me, from getting migraines. And I take one before I used to take them before I used to go to sleep, and one before I wake up. One when I wake up every morning. And it caught up with me. And I didn't know what ulcers was. I didn't know what none of that stuff was. And so to even learn about that, like, bro, I was walking around, like, and I couldn't talk. Like, I thought I had a seizure or something. I couldn't talk. I kept passing out. And one day, man, I was I just felt bad. I just jumped up out my sleep. And when I jumped up out my sleep, like, everything was kind of woozy, and I was sweating, and I'm like, man, and my dog was behind me. I thought, okay, let me take my dog out to go use the bathroom. And I went to my garage. When I got in my garage, man, I kind of stumbled down the stairs, and I kind of pulled myself up on a car. When I did that, I pulled myself up on a car, man. And I kind of, held on to the car a little bit and walked to the back, let my dog, open up the garage, let my dog out. And I did that, man. I just passed out. And I had to be on the ground for about, I want to say about 40 minutes. And I'm looking at my dog looking at me, my dog like, man, if you don't get your tail, I hear my dog like, hey, you all right? Get up. Come on, get up.
Wow.
I can hear my dog like looking, I could see him looking at me, and he didn't move. He didn't go pee. He didn't go use the bathroom. Like, he stayed right there.
That's your dog.
That's my dog. And what was crazy, like, he done started barking to let Muggs know, like, I'm out here on the ground. Like, he's barking, panicking.
Hey, man, well, I appreciate your answer, man. I really do. Justin, what you got, brother?
All right, we got to talk some Bama. We got a lot of things going on. We're on the bye week, so we need to kind of assess where we are right now. Before I get to that, we got another sponsor. Got to give them a great shout out. Listen, we can't finish this season the way we need to unless you're getting your official title towel. I need you to go to whitwillsports.com today. Enter the promo code STANDARD. Get a nice discount courtesy of the Bama Standard Network. That's right, folks. Wave your title towel in the air. Get yours today, whitwillsports.com. All right, fellas. We've gotten past Missouri. We're on a break, and we got a few more things to do before we wrap things up. But I got a question for this panel. Has Alabama found themselves? Is Alabama back on track? The last two quarters of that Missouri game, it kind of felt like there was an awakening of sorts with our team. Huge statement was made. It's garbage time. The defense, the first team defense, is demanding to get back on the field to make a goal line stand to preserve that shutout. That sideline has been the wildest I've seen, and I can't even tell you how long. This has been the first complete game that we've played since Wisconsin. Talk to me, fellas. What are you seeing right now after this Missouri game? More importantly, the last part of it. Are we gelling? Is Alabama finally hitting on all cylinders? Talk to me. Start me out, Trent. Then we're going to go to Steve Brown, then Smoke, Marvin, and Stephen M.
Man, I tell you, I hope we are. I hope so. Listen, I can't tell you they are. To me, man, they got to get more. They got to get on the same page, and they got to spend more time with each other. Like they really do. Like one thing about it, and Steve, you know, shit, every time you see me, Steve, you seen about 4 or 5 of us. You know, they gotta be a family.
Friends.
Like like they gotta be friends. They gotta be family. They gotta be brothers. Like it was nothing that, you know, Dre Kirkpatrick was doing that I didn't know what was going on. You know, if it was wild or not, or if it was good or bad. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, it was nothing that Mark was doing that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Or anything I was doing that he didn't know. You know, Smoke, you know, man, like you gotta be a family. If y'all not a family and then put together on the same page, spending time with each other all the time, like you're not going and the thing about it, man, you got people out here getting paid for this. And so my thing is, man, if you getting paid for this, and I get it, they're kids, they got to learn this and that, but now they're paid, they're professionals now, right? And you know, more than we don't want to say it, you know, we want to say it's still an amateur sport, but they're paid now. You can't say amateur no more. They're getting paid. They're professionals. So I don't know if they're done caught their, you know, they swag or they done got their, you know, mojo back. I don't know, man, but they still got a lot to learn. And I think more for it, man. Coaches got a lot to learn. This is the SEC. Like any Saturday is a beatable Saturday.
All right, Steve, pick it up, brother.
Well, Trent, I want to piggyback on what you said. This is why I'm saying that the NIL is killing college football. Everybody's playing for the money, but there's no camaraderie, there's no friendship. Everybody's just out for self, and that doesn't help team any. However, they did play more similar to what they played, how they played when they played Georgia the first 2 quarters. In the third and fourth quarter. Now, if they can just put those 2 quarters together on the way they played, I think we'll be okay. But I did see a little curve. I did. And I don't know if Coach DeBoer started calling the offense or what, but it looked a whole lot better, you know, than what it's been being. We were able to move the ball in the air and running, believe it or not. So, and I was very impressed with it. So, I don't know, man. Hopefully and prayerfully, I hope that they're rounding the curve, and we'll see during the LSU. You know what I'm saying?
You know what, Justin? I see Stephen M. He is sitting on the edge of his chair, and he looks like he wants to give his opinion before I do. So I'm going to gladly throw it to you, Stephen, and then I'll just piggyback off of you. Is that cool?
That's cool with me. So with me, I see pieces. It's not all there yet, but I see pieces. What I mean by pieces is you are seeing King and DeBoer understand I'm not in the Pac-12. I'm in big man league now. And King and DeBoer is balancing this fine art of being a coach that my players love versus also I got to get on some guys too. No Diddy, but I gotta have that discipline too. I got to hold people accountable also. So he's balancing this fine act. And you saw it against Missouri, right? Rock Montgomery, a moment there, your second team offensive lineman, your second team center, you know, does something that you're not quite liking. He gets into his face, you know, Rock and DeBoer kind of have a moment there. And DeBoer is telling the people that, you know, there are some things that we're not going to tolerate. We got to play to our standard of football. And Nick Saban even said before the Missouri game that Alabama shouldn't necessarily be focused on winning, but play into its standard of ball. So I think DeBoer is starting to get that real piece of that. Number 2, I saw Jeremy Bernard rise to where he's telling Milroe, trust me. Like, I know you might go into Ryan Williams. He cool, but trust me too. Like, I can play in this offense. We've seen the last 3 weeks, Jerm is chirping more and more, like, get me the ball. And he's been getting the ball more. I look at defensively, the last 3 games, Swarm defense, 10 takeaways, 10 turnovers. So Kane Womack's getting to these kids. He's getting to them. It's just now stacking great games now. Stacking great games now. Back-to-back weeks, Brayson Hubbard replacing Keon Sabb. Bray Hubbard can play. We're seeing Malachi Moore has looked more free this past week. He's looking free out there. So it's guys are starting to really get it. Yes, Missouri was injury riddled. Yes, Some people look at Missouri overrated. Okay, but they're on the schedule, and you still got to beat them, and you still got to knock them out. And you got to say, you pitched a shutout, you knocked them out. Guys are starting to get it. It came a little bit later than what we were expecting, but guys are starting to get it.
But it's the right time.
You know what? I've probably been one of the bigger guys that's been on the Alabama culture is not right. And I didn't see the trend of this thing going as fast as I thought it should have been going.
Mm-hmm.
But if we start off with the offensive side first, I think one of the things that we didn't anticipate is the learning curve of what Bama's going to have to go through. Just like every other program, the first place that you have to win the locker room. And winning the locker room does not take a week. It might take a year. It might take 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's getting the trust of people that you don't know. It's walking into a building with 85 guys on scholarship, 110 overall on the team, and you don't know every single individual. So it takes time to learn how to mesh with the right group, how to put players together, how to put plays together, and truly understand your team. And I thought we saw a little bit last week of what we thought we would have seen earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The Georgia game, again, guys, I think that was a one-off. I don't think Georgia came out there and they weren't playing at the level that Georgia's playing at right now. You jumped on them and made mistakes. And I think as Bama fans, Bama alums, we thought, oh, here we go. This is what it is. But we just got to understand that this is a new coach, new league, new players, new system, and it's taking a while for this to gel. And I saw a little bit of it from getting back to running the football and Milroe playing okay. Jalen Milroe is still not playing at a high level, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
The running game just looked better last week, and it took a while to get on track. But again, that's what happens when you run the ball. Trent, understand, as a running back, you might have some explosive runs, but most of the runs are dirty. And dirty runs become clean after a while. It just keep on just cracking that block, cracking that rock. Then it breaks. And then that's when the offense and the explosive pass game opens up. But I think that's what happened last week. Now, if we get to the defensive side, fellas, it was a shutout. So if it's a shutout, you have to give that whole entire defense credit. If you've ever been a part of a shutout, Marvin, you've been a part of them, it's a wonderful thing. I don't care if it's against Central. I don't care if it's against County High. I don't care if it's in New England Patriots, Alabama. If you can keep a team off the scoreboard, damn it, you're coach of the week. Already, and you are improving. No matter if the starting quarterback wasn't out there, the starting running back, receiver, whoever is out there, it's your job to play against that team, and it's your job to beat them. And not letting the team score, awesome. Now, the meshing is back in the secondary with Hubbard and Malachi Moore. It seemed more natural. It seemed like a guy allowed Malachi Moore and take some of that responsibility off of his plate that we've been talking about. Of just
Smoke, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, sir.
So the mistakes is it possible, since you are like an expert at DB?
No, I know it. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, you know the game, brother. So I got to ask you this. So the mistakes that Malachi was making earlier, do you think it's because he probably didn't trust the person next to him or trust the defensive scheme? So he's like, I'm going to do my own thing, and you got burned. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah. And what you're saying is that two things can be true. So you have Malachi back there playing with Keon Sabb, which is basically a new guy as well, too, to the defense. And there's times that when you play the right combination of players, it unlocks that other play. If I know that Marvin Constant, I'm playing next to Marvin, and Marvin is going to get the defense set, and every single time Marvin has to send that running back to me, Marvin's going to do it 100% of the time, I don't ever have to worry about overrunning that play. I just got to come downhill in my gap and fit. If Hubbard is the one that makes you feel secure that he's going to do his job 100% of the time because he knows that defense inside and out, now you take something off of Malachi's plate of saying, I have to set the coverage. I have to make sure that this guy lines up. On top of that, now I got to lead and I got to do my job. Well, there's a lot of things that you're asking one person to do, and maybe they're not qualified or ready for it at that time.
I tell you what, Hubbard is doing it. Hubbard is doing his
Right.
job.
And you bring in another guy in that says, okay, he knows it. He'll get that side set. He's going to do his job. I just can focus on doing my job.
Mhm.
And I think that's what you're seeing. And I think as the season goes along, you're just waiting for the team that gets the hottest at the right time. So losing one in the early on or in the middle, I think this Bama train might be picking up. I still got to see more of it, but they've taken some steps of playing better defense and playing complementary ball on offense.
I think, I'll add something that Smoke mentioned there. I look at the defensive line. I think one guy that needs to be getting a bit more playing time on the defensive line, well, two guys, James Smith and Jordan Renard. I think those two are starting to desire and playing like they deserve more time out there. James Smith had 2 quarterback hurries. One of them resulted in a pick for Quay Russaw. So you saw Carver High School and Montgomery collaborate on a takeaway. And then Jordan Renard, week by week, he is flashing. Week by week, he is showing, hey, I'm from Florida. I can do this. I can play this position, increase my time out there. So those are 2 young guys on the defensive line that are showing you they understand it. They get it up front.
Right.
Marvin, talk to us. We have not heard from you yet.
Well, true, we did pitch a shutout, and anytime you pitch a shutout, you have to give that defense props. Now, it looks like the defense is starting to finally get it together. But again, I'm going to say this. I would have much rather seen a shutout against the starting quarterback versus the backup, because we all know the backup doesn't get the same amount of reps during the week that the starter does. So it's a completely different game plan. It's just like, we talk about if Ty came in for Jalen, it's a completely different game plan. So again, but again, happy to see them taking these steps, though, getting to that shutout. I was happy to see us actually run the ball more Saturday. Finally, like, at what point did we should have never got to this point. We all know so goes the run game, so goes the offense. So I was happy to see, us take those steps. Now, overall, I'm going to give that performance a B+. That's about as high as I'll go. I'm not going to give it an A because, again, backup quarterback, and I think there's some things we could have done a little bit differently offensively when we dropped the ball in a few areas, and I still feel like that offensive line has some work to do. Now, they did do some nice things to set themselves up for the back end of the season. Going into this bye week, man, if they take the right steps, they can really put themselves on trajectory to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Now, Marvin, you kind of teed me up for our next topic. Let's talk about the running backs. The running backs seemingly are finally freed, and you got to see on full display just what they are capable of. You also got to see them taking out their frustrations of not getting enough carries by the intensity with which they ran. My gosh, Justice Haynes, Jam Miller, and then welcome back Richard Young. My question is, do we continue to ride this trend with the running backs who seem to be coming alive at the right time? Is it sustainable? And let me also ask this other question, guys. Is Richard Young the extra ingredient maybe our backfield needed that can kind of allow us to do a lot more, especially as LSU approaches? Steven, you had your finger up. Start us out, then we'll drop down to Smoke, then Marvin, and Steve.
Okay,
I'll say this. Richard Young kind of reminds me, remember Bo Scarborough 2016?
Yep.
When the back half of the season started with LSU and you put Bo out there and he starts wearing LSU down and wearing other opponents down, and Alabama took that all the way to the semifinal matchup against Washington, where Bo just exploded on that stage right there. Richard Young is that type of player. Now, I do want to see his breakaway speed improve that a bit more, because if he would have had that real breakaway, he would have housed that against Missouri, but it was a good 62-yard run, let's say the least. I think what freed the running backs is the offensive line forced Nick Sheridan, we got to run this ball. Tyler Booker talked about it after the game. We had to force the coaches, put this on our back, let us run this.
Yep.
And I think the more the offensive line shows this, the more it forces Nick Sheridan, okay, they want to run this ball, I got to let them run this ball. Because right now it looks like Sheridan, who is a converted tight ends coach to be the offensive coordinator, he's looking like, okay, let me give the running game a little bit, but then take it back. But no, if that running game is getting 5 to 6 yards and really putting you in favorable situations, you got to go with that. And I think in the second half, not only did it start to do that, but the offensive line starts looking at DeBoer and say, DeBoer, let's run this. We got it. Let's run this. And that's when DeBoer said, y'all got it? Continue to run this football.
Yep.
So the offensive line opened that door. So can Tyler Booker, Parker Brailsford, and this group continue putting its foot on the neck of opponents to keep those running backs free?
Love, where you going with this? Marvin, pick it up, sir.
Listen, man, you know, the thing about it, the run game, it was amazing. And Hill did come in and do some nice things. That's what I want to see. I want to see us get back to where we're wearing defenses out. Because, again, Smoke will tell you this. As you get into that back end of that season, everybody's beat up. Everybody's tired. So if you have 2-3 solid running backs and an offensive line that can go out and dominate and wear defenses down, defenses wear down a lot faster the back half of the season than they do the first half. Those bumps and those bruises, they you feel them at this point. So if Bama's going to be successful moving forward, it's going to have to go through the run game. And like Steven said, Bernard stepped up Saturday. And I've been saying it all season. I expected a bigger role out of Bernard all season. So I've been waiting for this. Y'all have heard me say Jeremy Bernard has to be the number 2 guy. If he's not, then, you know, we're going to struggle. So I was happy to see us, you know, Jalen not continuing to force the ball to Ryan almost every play. You have these weapons, spread it out, make a defense respect the situation. We know Ryan is going to be bracketed. So if he's bracketed, somebody's got to be in single coverage that can win.
Absolutely.
Right. And along with Germ, Marvin, you look at also Emmanuel Henderson. It's like each week, E-Man's making some kind of catch, whether it's a 32-yard, 20-yard catch there. Emmanuel Henderson is stepping up. You have a 6'5" Caleb Odom who's just waiting. You know, look at my direction. I can make a play out here.
Kendrick Law was making plays.
Right. Now, of course, Cole Adams got hurt there against Mizzou. Cole Adams left the field there, you know, on crutches. He's scheduled to miss some time. Now, DeBoer will have that update tomorrow in the SEC coaches teleconference about how much time he will truly miss. But prior to the injury, Cole was making plays out there. So hopefully it won't be anything too severe with Adams. But once again, I'll be on the SEC coaches teleconference tomorrow, and I will get that full update on how long could Cole be out.
Okay. My next question, we're still on the same subject, but it's going to be specifically tailored for you, Smoke, and Steve. I want you to also weigh in after him. Okay. LSU has shown us that the RPO can be their kryptonite. If Jalen Milroe is truly healthy in terms of being able to run the ball, he gets that burst back. We got these backs who, like I said, are coming alive at the right time. Could we not only replicate what Texas A&M was able to do to LSU, but also maybe cause some more damage?
Well, here's a couple of things that what you said, what A&M did to LSU with Marcel Reed, yes, there's some vulnerabilities in terms of RPO. When you run RPO, you got to know how to call it, B, you got to know how to teach it, and C, whoever's running it got to be able to read that second-level defender, first-level defender, and let the ball rip. I don't believe that's Jalen Milroe's wheelhouse. And I don't believe that's Kalen DeBoer or Coach Sheridan's wheelhouse in terms of understanding when to call it, how to call it, and how to teach it. Not saying that you can't get that done, but the fact that A&M did that to LSU, I don't believe that Alabama has to copy that method to do it, because you've seen teams been able to run the ball on LSU and also run the quarterback against LSU. And the way that college football is, the dual threat quarterback, which Jalen Milroe is the biggest equalizer. to the game. And you don't necessarily have to run RPO in order to execute that. You can just go ahead and run your regular zone read. Because when you add the extra element of the third level to a guy like Jalen Milroe that's not necessarily comfortable with running that type of offense, now you're creating an extra layer of learning for him. I believe that Alabama has enough in their playbook to run the ball the traditional way. If you want to do it out of shotgun or you want to do it out of the pistol, you can turn around and line up and attack guys downhill, but also use that quarterback as your second read and also your second ball handler and your ball carrier in order to properly execute what you want in terms of running a football. But I'm a big fan of just traditionally lining up and running a football downhill, using the backs that you have and using that heavy offensive line. You're averaging close to 335 pounds as an offensive line. At some point, you have to lean on people, especially like Marvin just said. This is November ball. November ball is when the battle of the trenches come into play. Whoever's strongest in the trenches typically wins. And Bama has strong players in the trenches. He's got to lean on that more instead of trying to have Jalen Milroe win the Heisman Trophy by throwing the football and creating explosive plays. You got to be dirty at some point. And as long as the Alabama staff buys into that as a whole, the players are buying into that as well. And the identity of your team now becomes a physical, demanding team. And when you run the ball on offense, that toughens you up on defense, because what you practice on offense, your defense is going to also have to defend as well during the week. So it's a twofold.
Steve, you've been nodding your head a lot. You liking what you hear?
Man,
Talk to me.
I'm absolutely loving what Smoke is saying. I can't agree more. But I will say this: I got to send a shout out to Tyler Booker. From what I understand, he challenged the whole locker room all week. He wanted to fight. He wanted to do everything, and that's Bama ball to me. And I agree, man. Get back to running that ball. You see, we got two guys that are capable of taking it to the house, and if you get in the way, they'll kick your doors down. You saw what Justin Haynes did, old boy. So I'm good with that. Then that opens up the play action, opens up a whole lot of things. And again, you said something that was so profound. Stop trying to make Jalen Milroe this Heisman guy. Just win it all. We ain't got time for all that now. Listen, just play within the confines of the offense. And the thing is, as the game went on, it seems like the offensive line gained more confidence run blocking. So now they're seeing the success, so we can build off of that. So and honestly, I watched that Texas A&M game, and Smoke, you're right. LSU is vulnerable to the run. They really are. You don't have to do a whole lot of razzle dazzle West Coast stuff. Just get the ball and do what you need to do. Run downhill, and everything goes to open up.
Go ahead.
I think the biggest part of this is also Kagan DeBoer went into Neyland Stadium and saw the boisterous atmosphere that was Tennessee. Now he gets a chance to use this and go, I know I'm going down to Death Valley. I know I'm going down to Tiger Stadium. LSU at night is insane. But you can use that experience from Tennessee, because that was a crazy atmosphere as well, to set you up for, guys, we've been in a crazy environment before, and we saw what we did that didn't help us. We put ourselves behind with penalties. We put ourselves behind with mental mistakes, and we saw what the end result was. We're going to another crazy environment. Down here, we can't afford the false starts. We can't afford the pre-snap issues, because in this environment, it's even more boisterous. So I think DeBoer will use what happened against Tennessee to better prepare him and this team to be more equipped here, taking on LSU.
Stephen, press pause. I'm about to use you in just a second. Before I do, I got to shout out Don Parker real quick. $5 super chat. Thank you for having Trent Richardson on the standard tonight. Hopefully Big Worm isn't pulling up in the ice cream truck at practice anymore, but we shall see. All right. Now, Stephen, I'd like to hear from you. You are the boots to the ground, the eyes on the field.
All four.
You're talking.
Keep
Thank
going,
you.
man. Keep going. Keep going.
Thank you.
That's what
You're able to talk to the coaches. You're able to talk to the players. Okay. You see what I have down here highlighted. The formula to avoid the slow starts. It seems like the slow starts have served as an Achilles heel to our offense in the Missouri game. It took about 28 minutes for us to get rolling. Definitely the Tennessee game, and took a little bit in the Vandy game. So as we are in the bye week, talk to me. What are these coaches telling you that their formula is going to be to avoiding these slow starts? We saw what we did against Georgia. We saw what we did against Wisconsin. We've got to replicate that and sustain that the entire game going into Baton Rouge. That's not a place you want to get behind quickly. So give us some tidbits. Give us something to chew on. Give us confidence. What's the formula during the off week? We got 2 weeks to avoid the slow starts.
I mean, the number one thing is you can't have penalties on offense. You can't have penalties the first drive of the game. You go back and you look at the Georgia game and the Wisconsin game. Why did Alabama get off to such fast starts? They played clean ball the first drive. They went up and down the field and scored. Against Vanderbilt, against Missouri, not against Missouri, but against Vanderbilt and Tennessee, what happened, especially Tennessee, that first drive, with 3 penalties happened that first drive. And it was 1st and 25 before you knew it. And that got the Tennessee crowd into the football game. So what do? You don't have penalties on drive number 1. You take the ball downfield, you score, and you take that LSU crowd the football game, because you know pre-game they're going to be playing neck. Pre-game, they're going to be playing, I'm from Louisiana. Pre-game, the folks is going to be jumping out of their chair. So what do? That first drive, you don't have a false start. You don't have a pre-snap penalty. You take it down the field and you score on them. And that avoids the slow start. You pick up first downs. You score the very first play of your offensive drive. If I win the coin toss, I take the football. I force LSU to play catch up with me. So you avoid that by not having the mental errors on your first drive.
Steven, let me piggyback off that. And I'm just going to say this. I'm going to make a bold prediction. There are not going to be any more slow starts. Based on this game that we saw, I think the guys are motivated. I think they believe they're starting to believe in the scheme as far as the running game. And I just feel like if we go out and we start exactly how we ended the third and fourth quarter, or played in the third and fourth quarter, I think those guys will be ready to go, because I think pretty much every game Bama's played, the first snap is we're dropping back trying to throw the ball instead of establishing the running game. So I think we ought to come out and start hitting people in the mouth. And I think, again, the offensive line is really excited about run blocking. They're ready to put some people in the dirt. So I think we won't have as many penalties. I think we will do just fine just coming out, picking up where we left off.
Well, if I can just jump in real quick, and just being around some offensive-minded guys and coaching and playing the game for a while and just studying it, there's a few things that you can do to avoid slow starts, because slow start typically begins the way that you practice. Whenever you're having slow starts, you go into a mode of saying, okay, when we start practice, we have to start practice fast. We have to execute these 10 to 15 plays that that you're going to go into the game with as a part of your game plan. So you rep these plays in practice. So when you go to the game, these are what you call your starters. You go out and these, regardless of what it is, whatever drive that we get into, these are the 15 plays that we're gonna know and we're gonna execute. And that now goes into who you are as an offense. That's finding your identity. Watching the film, evaluating the film over the games, there was no identity. It's a hodgepodge of plays that are getting picked. Do we want to be a drop back team? Do we want to be a zone read team? Do we want to be primarily a quarterback run team? Now with the off week, you can now go back into now looking at yourself, and also now going in and self-diagnosing who you are, self-evaluate who you are as an offense. to see how teams are playing you, because you have now enough plays there on film to have tendencies. So when you go in there and you run that query, what are your 15 plays that you're running? What plays aren't we executing? What plays are we getting false starts on? When we're on the road, are our silent counts working? Are we working enough silent counts? Are we having the right rhythm? Does the quarterback feel comfortable with these plays right here? Because we have to self-scout ourselves to find out in the back quarter of the season, how do we want to finish? And that comes to the last one, finishing plays, finishing drives. Like, you can't go back into now we're a young team. You're now an old team because you've gone through 3/4 of your season.
Right.
Now we're playing for money. It's semi-pro ball. All the guys that are getting paid, all the coaches that are getting paid well, you go in, you self-scout, you figure out who you are, and then you come out with your best game plan against LSU, because everything now is on the table. It's all laid out. There's no more tricking. There's no more avoiding. There's answer, execute, and get it done right in an efficient rate.
And with this off week, it's a time where they can actually get back to fine-tune those minute details, which are highly important at winning at this stage of the game. Because, again, this is when you clean up everything. This is no longer, hey, wait and see time. No, this is let's perfect what we got to perfect to get to our goal. Because, again, you got to clean up the penalties. You got to clean up the missed assignments. You got to clean all that up. Coming out of this bye week, you should be playing damn near flawless football.
Absolutely.
Something, Justin? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, hold that thought. We got another super chat. We got to give love to the people who are loving on us. We got Ray Parham. Question for the panel. Based off of Saturday's performance, how confident are you with a defense going forward? This actually kind of transitioned or tees up our next segment. So let's go ahead and do that. And is Alabama's defense finally trending upward? Marvin, I'm going to start with you. You saw the question, but let me ask you another thing. You talked about it earlier this week when we were thinking about topics of, how we should address this week and the next week. Give me 3 things from this past game that makes you believe that this defense is trending upward. Then we'll go back to Steve.
I'm gonna say the back end play. The back end play is what stood out to me the most. You see the guy come in at safety, and he played pretty awesome. You can't take that from him. They seem to gel very well. So anytime you can do that on the back end, that's important. Now, we did seem to get a little bit more pressure on the front end because again, you got to get that ball out a lot faster, and we seem to be a lot more gap sound. But again, I would have rather seen it against the starter, but you can't take that from them, because anytime you get a shutout, that's a building block. It's a foundational piece that you need. So again, this is something that they should build on going into the next game against LSU, because we all know what LSU wants to do. It ain't gonna be nothing pretty. It ain't gonna be fancy. They want to line up and hit you in the mouth. Either you gonna have your chin strip buckled and ready, or you can get your ass handed to you. So you got to decide this week what you want to do, because going to Baton Rouge is not an easy place to play. You saw what happened to Ole Miss when they went down there on homecoming. You can go to Baton Rouge sleeping if you want to. I'm telling you, you're going to get hit in your mouth. But again, the shutout was a solid building block. So we just got to take those steps moving forward.
Okay.
I think personally, the defense is trending upward. I think we all can agree that a shutout builds so much more confidence. So I think that they're going to practice harder, because they're like sharks. They smell blood. So I think they're going to work harder. And I think they're seeing that, maybe we are starting to believe in this defense, and then you even saw penetration from the D-line. We hadn't seen that all year. So, and honestly, Marvin, you said this thing about LSU hitting people in the mouth. That's not the same LSU team I've seen. Now, I get what you're saying, but I've saw a lot of vulnerable things with this LSU team. People could say Bama's not the Bama of old. LSU ain't the LSU y'all used to play either. So, I'm excited about the defense.
But this is one of those games where records go out the window.
No, I'm not talking about
Yes.
records. I'm talking about play. I'm talking about play.
I heard what you're
and tradition.
saying, but I'm saying
But that is
them boys
true.
coming to play. I can promise you that.
Of course. They got so much on the line. Go ahead, Justin. I'm sorry.
LSU can be a sleeping giant, though. If you let them hang around longer than they should, they're a very opportunistic team. You saw what Ole Miss did. Ole Miss pretty much had control of that game the entire contest until they didn't. They let them hang around, and then and then LSU capitalized.
Leave Pete alone, man.
Pete Golden did the same thing with us.
No.
The sleeping giant needs to be completely knocked out. So my next question is: we saw the blueprint. The Smoke you talked about last night on your show. We saw what Texas A&M did to confuse Garrett Nussmeier, but also let's talk about us. We saw what Kane Womack did to confuse Carson Beck that first half against Georgia. So what are we doing these next 2 weeks to ensure we not only take care of Garrett Nussmeier and replicate that, but we play the best game of our season defensively?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Marvin, follow up with this, please.
You start by first and foremost, those first few practices, they won't be about LSU. It's going to be about cleaning up your own crap to make sure you can do what you need to do and you're fundamentally sound. Right. Now, once you get to that, Thursday, Friday practice, you'll start to transition to what you'll see versus LSU. But first and foremost, it's fixing your own crap. That is the key to success. Do what you do and do it well. Then once you get to the opponent and you're watching their film, because you can now do what you do well and you're reading your keys based upon what they're giving you, you should be able to perform at a high level.
But you know what, Steve B? LSU has the best offensive line in the SEC.
Oh, really? Wow.
They have two pros at the tackle position. And at quarterback, playing the best football in terms of quarterbacks in the SEC.
Okay.
And they have one of the better receivers that's lining up there. So there's a lot of issues that Kane is going to have to solve. And what he wants to be vulnerable against and what he wants to give up. Again, the recipe against Nussmeier has been showing them exotic looks, changing up the fronts, changing up the back end on him, and making sure that he can't go to his first read, which is Lacey, that he wants to throw the ball to. Take him away and allow him to go to number 2 and number 3. Because if you make it easier on him, he'll light you up. And you have to send more than 4. Because if you send more than 4, I don't believe that Alabama has a guy on the edge that can defeat those 2 tackles individually on one-on-one situations. So he's going to have to find a way to get 5-on-5 and make sure that nobody else can chip or help in order to get pressure on them. He's going to have to simulate some pressures. He's going to have to send some exotic looks so you can fuse the protection, just like he did against Georgia, like you said, and made Carson Beck see 15 guys instead of 11. He's going to have to get that, just like he did last week, and confuse the quarterback to make him throw him into coverage where he thinks guys aren't going to be and guys show up.
And that starts, Smoke, with you got to have your corners ready to play. You got to have you're going to have Xavier Brown and Damani Jackson ready to go, Jalen Mbakwe ready to go, Deshaun Jones off the bench ready to go. And I feel like probably the biggest defensive back in this game may be Devontae Smith at Husky. Because they are going to line up Aaron Anderson, the former Alabama receiver who plays in the slot for LSU now. This is the same Aaron Anderson that said that Alabama hindered my growth as a wide receiver. They're going to have Aaron Anderson on Devontae Smith one-on-one. They're going to attack that matchup. They're going to go after that matchup. So who's ever in that slot, Devontae Smith, King Mack, Red Morgan, they are going to have to be locked in because that's the matchup LSU's going to want to go after. Who is on Aaron Anderson in that slot?
Right. And it's really more – Alabama's been prone to play man-to-man defense on third down. How they confused Missouri is they went to more zone defense on third down and confused the quarterback, and the quarterback threw into coverage a lot. But you saw it against Tennessee. They exposed guys by running a lot of man beaters, crossers, and deep diagonal routes. Against Vanderbilt, they did the same. So King Warmack studying himself, self-scouting, and understanding that teams are gearing up for man-to-man, one high with a robber coverage, meaning a guy down low that's going to help on crossers. And he went to more of a zone look to help out those young corners and help out those young nickels that right now they aren't quite ready to go man-to-man across the board because they're not heating up the quarterback to get that ball out of their hands.
Real quick, before I get to our last topic, we got yet another super chat. We love you fans. Nicholas Harden, $1.99. Just get those Tigers. Roll Tide. All right, I want y'all to really think about this next topic. And Stephen S. Smith, I'm going to start with you because I think this is something that kind of goes in your wheelhouse. Let me remove this from the screen before I ask it. All right, so every great baseball team has their designated closers that they can trust to put out to play on an elite level to preserve a victory. For Alabama on defense, who are those closers we need to step up? We put our full faith in to finish the season the way we need to finish it. Start me out, Stephen, then go down to Marvin, back to Steve, then Smoke.
I go to three guys, and there's one from each level of the defense of a defensive line. You got to look at LT Overton. You came in from A&M. You are not developed at A&M, but this is your moment, LT. You came in here as an on-body pass rush from a defensive line perspective, playing that bandit role, that field side defensive end. You got to close up front. That's his spot right there. Now, Q-Rob has had an incredible year. Several tackles for loss. He's leading the team in sacks. But LT Overton, you were brought in for this moment, and you got to show it here. So that's from the defensive line perspective. From the linebacker perspective, Jihad Campbell. Campbell has started to heat up. And he's the guy that's taking that dog mentality of, if somebody going to make it happen, it's going to be me. And he's taking on more of that role, more of that personality. So Jihad Campbell, too. And three on the back end, it's Malachi. Malachi Moore bleeds Alabama football. This is everything he knows. You go back to the Missouri game. After Jamarian Latham makes a big play, who's the first guy down there celebrating with him and pumping him up was Malachi. Brayson Hubbard's pick, Malachi is chasing this man 70 yards downfield, congratulating this man. After each play, Malachi's right there representing that back end. So those three are your closers. Overton, Campbell, Moore.
Well, I think that. Go ahead.
Go
ahead, Mark.
I'll make this quick. Being a former defensive player, I think my view of a closer is going to differ drastically from Steven's version, because to me, I'm not even looking at the back end. I'm not even looking at the linebacker. To me, a closer is that pass rusher who you know is going to sack that quarterback or make that ball come out in crucial situations. And I don't think we found a guy yet who fits that mold just yet. We don't have a Will Anderson Jr. coming off that edge. We don't have the pass rushers of old coming off that edge. And to me, as a closer, that's what I want. I want a guy who's going to go line up and go eat. I want a Von Miller. I want a guy like that who I know, I don't care who you got on, you're not going to block him. That's a closer.
Right. And I would second that, Marvin, because I don't believe we have a closer. And that's one of the answers that we've been asking this entire time. There are bodies out there. Q Robinson has shown you instance of doing that, but we're talking about the Dallas Turner. We're talking about Chris Braswell, where it's your best against my best, and my best is going to move that quarterback off that spot. The back end, they can't close. Mariano Vera ain't in the back end. Mariano Vera ain't at the second level, because if he's at the second level, he has to be coming on the blitz. The first level is what closes games out. And that's the issue that Bama is having right now, because they're still trying to find who that player is at a consistent basis on both sides of the ball.
And to add to what Smoke was saying, the second level and the third level, they're dependent on that first level.
There you go.
That's why your closer got to be on that first level.
Right.
Because that's who we count on first and foremost. They don't do
speed-
their job, everybody else screwed.
Right. To speed up the throw. So now you throw an errant ball. I can pick it. The second level wants to see someone either close on the guy, tip it, so I can pick it, send the quarterback out. So if I am now the spire, I can close and do that. But to me, the front level is always, that's where you got to get your closer from. The back end, just middle relief and setup guys in baseball terms.
Steve Brown, you've had an opportunity to hear
Justin, I don't have anything to say because these two guys pretty much said everything that needs to be said. This is why you should be watching the Bama Standard. We got guys that can go into depth about everything, and a lot of other shows don't have that. So, yes, I'm with it.
But I do have a question, though. I'm not letting you off the hook because you're part of this team, too, and you are the star. So what you say carries weight. You heard what these two have said, but you've talked about a guy. You've given high praise about a certain guy for several games, pretty much the entire season. Number 15. Can Justin Jefferson be a closer?
Justin Jefferson can be a closer, but again, it starts on the D line. The D line is the first level of defense, and they got to put pressure on anything in the backfield. But I will say, from what I've seen, a person that can clean up hits. He's not trying to he's not trying to do that one thing I hate. Everybody getting to the ball, and the first thing they do instead of making the tackle, they start grabbing at the ball. I hate that. I don't know why they do that now. Justin Jefferson, I've seen this guy, and people pay attention. He is a boomer. He lays the boom. And I think they should play him more. That guy, he puts his nose in there. I mean, real talk. So I'm looking forward to him getting more playing time or even starting if you want to keep it 100. Because this dude he might be a little smaller, but this dude is a linebacker. He reminds me of what's his name, London Fletcher, a little bit.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. And
9.5.
Nah, he's a little bit bigger than that. But Steve Brown, when we talked on Saturday and you called and the game was going on and we were sitting back and forth going on about the second level play. The second level play has a lot to do with pairing. Jahad Campbell and Lawson being paired together, that's a decent linebacking core. But when you go Campbell and Jefferson, you have a bigger guy in Campbell that can set it, and you have an eraser in Jefferson that can go get it. Mm-hmm. And when you put those two guys together, I think that's where Alabama's played their best. Mm-hmm. Because like Stephen M said, and great point, Jahad Campbell is one of your better pass rushers as well too. So when you go to that 5-man front and you cover everyone up, you have the fastest guy that's maybe the most instinctive linebacker there that can run, chase, and erase a lot of things at the second level, knocking off guys that's coming across the middle. Mm-hmm. But also if the quarterback gets out, he can go get them.
And not only that, this guy's making tackle. He's hitting people. And honestly, I've seen other linebackers, and I don't, we're not about throwing people under the bus, but not fitting, missing tackles. He can be right there on the tackle, and he'll go for the shoestring tackle. And I'm like, come on, bro, you're a linebacker, And I'm like, what are you doing?
Lawson, Steve. Hey, Steve B, I'll say it for you. Lawson's taking bad angles, and when you aren't a guy that has exceptional speed, burst, and ability to close, the one thing that you have to do, and Marvin's going to say yes. You have to take the right pursuit angle to get to that ball carrier at the right spot.
And Smoke, no disrespect. Let me Smoke.
Hold on.
He ain't hitting no damn body. Hold on, he ain't hitting nobody.
But Steve, what Smoke is saying is 100% correct. His angles are terrible. He struggles at getting over the top. You go back and look at that film against Vandy. The reason why Vandy hit a lot of those runs outside the tackles because his ass was horrible. Yeah. He wasn't getting over the top for nothing.
He wasn't getting over the trash. Marvin will tell you, as a linebacker, that's why when you go through linebacker drills, young people that's listening, that's why coaches throw a lot of things at your feet. Because you got to get your feet up, over trash. You got to work through trash. In the middle of that defense, it's nothing but trash. You sift through trash, you find open cracks, and you go through them hard and figure out what happens at the end.
And you know what? And there was times though when I went back and watched that film, he's jogging, half-assing it, didn't put forth a lot of effort. Wouldn't be playing on my defense.
But this Justin Jefferson is getting to the ball and hitting people.
That's a Bama linebacker.
We love you, Lawson, but come on, man. Let's.
He played, and again, no knock on Lawson. He's a little bit speed deficient. Those other two guys can run better than he can. And there's a place for Lawson, but I don't know if it's an every down situation. And that's why I'm saying the pairing that you have, and again, he's one of the captains of the group. He's a senior, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have to play you when you're not playing up to whatever their standard is. And I'm not in the building every day, so I'm not going to say what their standard is. Their standard might be that.
But Smoke, he plays a position that's too critical for that level of effort. And if he's wrong, he's going to screw up so many other people every time he's wrong.
Yeah.
Tell you somebody who's not wrong. It's Stephen and Smith, and he's been waiting for y'all to
I know.
Give him the mic.
Everybody's been asking. The defensive closes come at that first level of the defensive front there. If Alabama plays these two together as a pairing, you would have your closers up front. That's Rousseau and James Smith. You put both of those two together on the field at the same time, them two boys from Carver and Montgomery will tear a church up and a field up at the same time. These two boys have played ball together their whole life. They know each other their whole life. You put James Smith and you put Rousseau together on the field at the same time, that quarterback going to sit here screaming, God, can you help me? I'm about to die.
Wow.
Keep that energy. Keep that energy. Stephen Smith, you must know what the audience is feeling, what the audience is thinking. Don Parker is throwing some money at us, $2. He's echoing what you're saying. Quay Rousseau, let them Carver boys eat. All right. We've gone over time, but we have one last thing that's very important, and people are always asking about this. This is the bye week. It's a time to plan. It's a time to circle back. But more importantly, it's a time to heal. We got a lot of players right now who are banged up. So Stephen and Smith, talk to us. Give us the injury report. What's the status of these players?
I know people are talking about, is Mbakwe okay? Jalen Mbakwe's fine. He's fine. He's all right. The biggest one, the biggest one right now is Cole Adams. And like I said, he hurt his foot against Missouri. I saw him on the field. He was walking off on crutches there, but we'll get the full word from Coach DeBoer tomorrow. How much time could he miss if he misses a whole bunch of time? I know people are asking about, what about Keon Sabb? Does he come back for the LSU game? Folks, Keon Sabb has been playing on a broken foot for much of this year. And he went to have surgery on that foot about a week or so ago. So I wouldn't say I wouldn't put Keon Sabb out here against LSU. I will let that man continue to rest, fully recover. This is time for Bryce Hubbard to grow, to get better and better and better. Now we're seeing what Alabama's depth is in that secondary. You're seeing Hubbard step up. You're seeing King Mack step up. You're seeing Deshaun Jones step up. You saw Drake Kirkpatrick Jr. get in the game last week. Xavier Mincy made a hit on somebody last week. So now you're seeing the depth there of that back end. So I would not put Keon Sabb out there just yet. I know Jaden Roberts has been playing through some pain all season, but he's continuing to gut it out there. Jalen Milroe, some people are saying he's okay. He's okay. He's just playing bad. Other people are saying, no, he's actually banged up. He's actually feel like he's laboring. He's favoring something. This will be a week. Get Jalen fully back to where he was against Georgia, against Wisconsin. But we saw the speed. We saw the burst. We saw the explosiveness. People keep asking about, what about Jalen Hale? Folks, Jalen Hale may end up taking a medical red shirt and coming back next season. I'm just going to tell you that right now. I mean, he had a severe knee injury going back to spring ball. He's attacked the rehab vigorously, but right now, I wouldn't rush this man back. I mean, right now, have that man take a medical red shirt, bring him back, next spring going into next season. So that's what I would do. You've got Caleb Odom. You got Emmanuel Henderson. You got Rico Scott, Amari Jefferson, Bubba Hampton. You got receivers. So Jaron Hamilton also. You got receivers. So let Jalen Hale truly heal all the way and then bring him back to start next spring.
That's why we have you here, sir, to keep us up to date on absolutely everything. Well, we have reached the end of our show, but that does not mean the network stops. Tonight at 8 p.m. Central, we got the final whistle. Tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Central, we got Crimson Dynasty with C.C. Payne, Dan James, and Justin J.B. Baines, who is in the chat right now. The nightcap is going to be George Teague with Teague's Take. In-depth film study. If you want to know why it happened and how it happened, this is the show that you need to watch. No post-game show this weekend. We'll be back next weekend after the LSU game. But Sunday night Talking Bama with Josh J.T. Tucker, Justin J.B. Baines, and Stephen Smith, who are going to bring the weekend recap that you need to get ready for the next week. And then on Monday night, Smoke Dixon is live with Daniel Petty for the opening kick at 7 p.m. Central. You don't want to miss any of what we're bringing your way, but I tell you what, if you want to keep up with what we got going on, the best way to do that is to follow us on all of our social media. Let's do that right now. Go around the room, share what you got. We'll start with Marvin, then go up to Steve Brown, down to Smoke, and then Stephen M.
Constant 45 IG, Twitter, Constant 451. It's real simple.
Hey guys, be sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, Comic Steve Brown. One word, Comic Steve Brown. Also, my Comedian Steve Brown fan page on Facebook. And Seattle, Washington. I will see y'all this weekend. 2 shows already sold out. Tickets selling really fast. So I want to see y'all, Seattle. I love y'all, Seattle, Tacoma. I'll see y'all this weekend.
Man. Can I get a ride out there? Can I jump in the luggage? I love going to the Pacific Northwest.
He's flying Spirit Airline, though.
Nah,
fly you halfway and dry you the rest.
On X, you can check me out at Coach Smoke GV Dixon on Instagram, Smoke V Dixon. Get with me. I'm always having some good content. Whatever you got to shout at me about, holler at me about, tell me if I'm right, wrong, and indifferent. We'll get some good content out to you, and I'll interact with you and give you the answer to whatever question you got going on.
Stephen Smith, that leaves you. You got a busy week ahead. Where can they find you?
Well, it's off week, and I'll be covering practice and the injury report. The coaches, I'm going to hold them all accountable. Their asses need to get
Well,
you can catch me on my OnlyFans at Optical Thunder 69.
Whoa.
Optical
Oh, my bad. My bad. You got saved.
Now, Justin.
You got saved. My bad.
Cataract black.
Now, Justin, I didn't throw yours out there. Traeger Trick 69.
That's for the premium. You can't just throw it out like that.
Y'all ain't right, man.
This is why people will love us.
Did he say Trailer Trick 69? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, what they call Justin, a single wide assassin?
Hey man, hurry up, man. We gotta go.
Hey, they can catch me with the coaches tomorrow. And with the players, as far as their interviews will be on Thursday. So Wednesday, Thursday, I'll be right there, coaches and players.
Whoop that trick. My bad.
Y'all ain't right, man.
Yeah, but this is why everyone loves us. Hey, thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. Thank you for the live chat who is rocking it this hour and 33 minutes. Thank you to our guest, Trent Richardson, who dropped a lot of great knowledge, shared a lot of what we needed to hear, opened up his whole life to us. If you missed the podcast he was in, do yourself a favor, go and watch that. But listen, it's going to do it for us. Check out all the other shows that I mentioned. Until we see you again, roll tide.
Roll tide.
Trailer Trick 69.
Whoop that trick.